Hello, this is Londo Molai, and you're watching Madman Cafe. However, in the old days, the great days of the Republic, you would be spying all the Bonvare, Hatjala, and Spoo.
Welcome to another edition of the Madman Cafe, live right straight out of a very snowy and buried Staten Island, where we've had 30 inches of snow here, and basically no help from New York City. But that's a different story in itself. We got a couple of things before we bring everybody in. First of all, if you haven't noticed yet, we are now offering memberships now. Super chats are now available on there. You also can buy memberships for others in the chat. That is available now. It's down below there. It's the Neo fan is our first level, and of course our Asylum is our second level on there. You have the choice of either one of those, and you'll see the listings of what's available to you on that. Other things that are going on, I just want to say first, condolences to the Carradine family in the loss of their Robert. We just heard that as well. That's what's going on to that situation. It's a shame. Mental health is has been a big thing around, and it's a shame to hear a story like that. Such a great actor to that known, but also on top of that, we got some breaking news. Right before we went on air, two things that were going on right now. Discord has announced that they're pushing back the global age verification to later in the year. It's still rolling out, but it is not going to happen next week. For those of you who are like signing off and are about to jump off, hold off. Let's see what's going to happen from this point on. There are some issues that they're putting through. It's listed on there. The other major breaking story right now, it's out of the Sci-Fi Channel on there. Robert Kirkman is coming out with another comic book series called Terminal. You can go over to Sci-Fi, they listed on there to see what it is about to that point. It is another superhero type comic, and that's coming out soon. So let's bring in everyone, and we got a full house today. We got Sci-Fi Snob, we got Outpost Nerd, and over from Sci-Fi for Me TV, we have Jason Hunt as well.
Hello,
gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Be careful how you're slinging that word.
Oh, I even forgot. There are two other things we got to bring up to the point. It is the anniversary of Babylon 5 also.
33rd anniversary. Yeah,
the 33rd anniversary. Happy anniversary to that great show that we talk about on every Wednesday on Sci-Fi Snob's channel on there. Also, this is from my old universe on there. It is also the 43rd anniversary of the Rabbit T. Rabbit and Friends TV show that I used to work on a long time ago, back in the 80s and 90s. It is the 43rd anniversary of the show. We have about, online right now on the Internet Archive, 35 years worth of this show available to the general public to watch on there. A lot of content we used to produce a long time ago on there. So if you go to the Internet Archives, look Rabbit T. Rabbit and Friends, you'll be able to find that as well. Okay. Here's the hard part today. Episode on 7 Cosine. Shall I read the synopsis, or let's just go through this whole bullshit?
Let's just go through it. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, read the synopsis or go through the bullshit?
No.
I'll take episode ever. Things we don't want to discuss for 400, Alex.
Okay. There we go. That's all in on that. So let's get started about talking about this episode itself. This was, I mean, oh my God. Talk about a show, Seinfeld is a show about nothing.
Yeah, it's filler.
Filler. I don't even know what that was. I think it was an insult to filler. Because I've seen some bad filler in my day. I'm 59 years old. I've seen some bad filler shows, episodes on TV series. This takes the cake. I mean, who's the writer on this one? Eric Anthony Glover and Alex Taub. I mean, I've never heard of these guys, so obviously, considering that next week, Star Trek veteran is going to be directing next week's episode on that. That's Riker is coming on that episode next week on that. But I mean, let's start off on this. What was it? All Worlds Day? I mean, instead of spring break, and they said All Worlds Day. What the hell was that?
Well, it's one of those catch-all. Let's make up a thing so we don't have to be historically accurate for anything. That's how I see it.
I mean,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, it's just them trying to come up with something to be inclusive for everybody, and it does not work.
I mean, it is just insane what happened in this episode. And on top of that, there was a lot of things in between, the little knickknacks in between. Like Sam has a new hairstyle, the pom-poms.
She has one every episode.
You notice that. Every episode is like her hair change.
So Al, your question about the two writers here, Alex Taub and Eric Anthony Glover. Yeah. Glover has 4 writing credits to his name. And 2 of them, Starfleet Academy and Tom Swift, are both canceled shows. Alex Taub has more writing credits, 18 writing credits, most of them for drama stuff like Revenge, Drop Dead Diva, Judging Amy, Felicity.
Not a bad list, really.
Not a bad list. Dead Last, Kevin Hill, Eli Stone, Heart of Dixie. So a bunch of CW type of stuff. Lethal Weapon, the Lethal Weapon reboot. Nancy Drew.
I like that until they got rid of Riggs.
Yeah, no science fiction at all. Although he does also have a consulting producer credit on Smallville, in addition to other executive producer credits. So he's more a producer than a writer, and it shows, I guess.
And you're saying that the other guy did Tom Swift?
Eric Anthony Glover wrote 10. He was staff writer for Tom Swift, this was the reboot with Black Tom Swift.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's right. Yeah.
That was so awful. That was a CW.
He also wrote the Klingon episode earlier. Episode 4.
Did he really?
I believe so. Yeah.
So there we are.
Or was one of the writers on it. So, he wrote, one of the worst episodes. And
they're all the worst episodes.
I mean, this is just, and I got to bring this up. Jason, you didn't bring this up on your show. I was trying to bring it in the chat. And let me see. Hang on. What is this?
I was crashing out everywhere.
I know the little slug thing.
Yeah,
the warp slug thing. Did they just rip that off from Star Wars?
That's a good question. I don't know that they did. I don't know that they're that clever.
The Purgos, from Rebels.
Yeah, I don't think they're that clever. I think what probably built this scene is, wouldn't it be cool if, and then as they're doing, you can't do truth or dare, because truth or dare usually ends up as a porn scenario. Somehow they end up kissing, and you can't do that yet. But let's do toxic versus non-toxic. Well, what's an icky thing that girls don't like? Oh, let's do a snail or a slug, slugs and snails and puppy dog tails and whatnot. And Now that we've got a slug, how do we make it funny? Well, slugs are slow, so let's give it warp drive. I don't think there was any more creative thought than that. This is a wouldn't it be funny if that's as creative as it gets. These people are lazy writers.
And I think that speaks to the mentality of them as well. So
it does. It absolutely does. And
I think Jason's right. That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
I don't think these people have probably even watched Rebels or Clone Wars or anything like that, because it's a cartoon, it's a kid show, and it's beneath them. And it probably was on the air before they were even, cognizant of a real world out here somewhere. So I would not automatically suspect that they ripped off Star Wars. But if they did, it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm not going to give them that much credit, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for those of you who have just realized, the channel is also monetized besides the Super Chat and membership. So we've just jumped to a commercial. I tried to put the commercials in the places where it was best, but of course, YouTube didn't listen. I apologize for that. But the other thing is that with this little thing, we had to have Tig's toes. Obviously. Oh, I'm sorry. I kind of replaced a better show for Tig's Toe. So Tig Tone, which is on Cartoon Network, which is a really good show on there. But let's switch it to the right clip. Yeah. Why did we need to see this?
I don't think we saw any feet, the captain's feet in the last episode. So I was really jonesing for some more feet.
Well,
personally, but I don't know.
Okay, so not to defend the show, Talks, not to defend the show, but as a director, as a filmmaker, what I'm seeing here, just analyzing the shot itself, we have had discussion as she's entered the scene, talking about the fact that she's broken her toe, right? And
when you're hearing what's her name in the background.
Yeah, you're hearing, they're yelling at each other. Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. I just broke my toe. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. She's coming in here to the science lab to get, I guess, a dermal regenerator or whatever tools that you get to fix. Which, why aren't you in sick bay doing that? But that's beside the point. So she comes into the lab. She gets whatever thing is. She got to fix her toe. This shot right here is meant mainly, I think, to establish that the warp slug is dripping slime over Jet Reno, because you see the warp slug on the wall in the back over her head, and you wouldn't be able to do that from any other camera angle. Now, it also gives us a pretty good shot of Jet Reno's foot, sure, and that's probably a fetish for somebody, but I think the primary motivation is the ticking clock, like Alfred Hitchcock talks about. If you're sitting there and two people are talking at the table, it's boring. But if you know that there's a bomb under the table and they're talking, now there's tension. Well, here's the bomb under the table. There's a warp slug, and there it is, and it's right over her head. And what are we going to do? How are we going to get it before she figures out that there's a warp slug up there?
And also, her being there makes sense for this character. Where did we first meet Jet Reno? All the way back in Discovery. On the crashed ship, she was the only... she basically used her engineering skills to save, like, half her crew. Because she's like, well, what is the human body but another engine kind of thing?
Mm.
So that it makes sense that she would go there instead of... Because she knows the right tools to use. So that didn't bother me that she was in there. What bothered me was that stupid game that the two were playing.
Toxic or not toxic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb.
And
on Jason's point, you could have done this shot though with the ticking time bomb without her toe being like, she could be bending over and getting a tool from the from a drawer or something. You didn't
this
have to
shot
put her
was.
toe in there.
I disagree. I agree with Jason. This shot was needed.
Well, you need the slug. You don't need the toe.
Well, you need
It's
the
about the
angle.
slug.
You need the angle to establish where the slug is in relationship to the character.
Yeah, but she could be taking off her boot, or she could be, rummaging in for some sort of
That's
tool,
nitpicky.
and then you take the shot from there.
But if you look at it, her toe is massively swollen, and that's the sight gag, right? That's supposed to be the funny that the 14-year-old teenage boy is going to see. Ah ha ha, that's funny. It's the same kind of gag as Chris Pine's Jim Kirk having these swollen hands because he had some sort of a reaction right in one of the Star Trek in the Kelvin Trek movies, because these people think that that's funny.
Yeah, nobody finds any of this funny.
But yeah, it's a body humor gag.
And here's the other thing besides that this happened later on in the episode. Earlier on, we had that whole situation where Caleb said, I ain't going anywhere. I'm staying aboard the ship and all that. It's like the whole ship got evacuated besides him, Tig, Genesis, half Klingon, whatever the hell you want to call that thing.
They left. No. Klingon dude and what's his name? They left. They were abducted. He was abducted.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about.
Just listen. Hold on. No, they left before everyone else left. They didn't have a choice where they went. Well, of course,
Right.
the Klingon dude went.
Right, but I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about.
You just said the Klingon dude.
Yeah, half Klingon.
That's what I'm talking about.
You're talking about you're talking about the Klingon Jem'Hadar.
Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, she's not a dude.
Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, the Jem'Hadar half Klingon. That's what I'm talking about.
You're
That's
talking-
the only ones that are available. There's no security. There's no, there are no head, people, high-ranking officers that are aboard a ship that's left there. This is like the episode of Mizaki. You left the ship in the middle of nowhere, not guarded, nobody aboard. Anyone could have gone in there and taken the Mizaki. We talked about this before, and now you've left the USS Athena in the middle of San Francisco. Anyone walk in, which someone did walk in with a warp hole to kidnap someone and take them out. And meanwhile, gay Klingon ran into it as well. I mean, it's like no alarms on this ship.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because there's not a single one of these characters have any fucking common sense.
No, they don't.
He saw his friend being kidnapped. That's all he saw.
Bag.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me say this because this has bothered me. This has bothered me for days. He had no common sense. He literally looks around instead of going to security who are trained for this. He runs through the fucking hole in his mind that could be to nowhere. It was the most stupid, idiotic thing I've ever seen anyone do. It's like someone sticking their hand in a hole and thinking nothing's bad's gonna happen.
Well, there's a warp slug there. Well, not only that, but you have an unauthorized transport device. You have this personal wormhole thing, whatnot, that happens in the middle of a Starfleet facility. There should be all sorts of alarms going off. Intruder alert, intruder alert, intruder alert. And there's none of that. Not only that, but Polywharf doesn't even, I mean, they've got communication devices right there. Why wouldn't he hit his badge and say, hey, Polywharf to security, we've got an incident in Hall B.
And remember the episode of Discovery when they first come to Earth and how fast the security forces are all over the Discovery?
Well, in the first episode here, when they all start to get all testosterone and stuff, and the doctor just poofs out of nowhere, is like, "What is all of this that I'm hearing? This all of that." I mean, this is instantaneous stuff, and if that's the case, then if you have an unauthorized entry by some kind of a transport device, then the security guards should just be instantly there because we've established now the continuity of the show will let us do that.
The comm badges are personal transporters now.
Yeah. So security should be all over these guys
Now,
the instant they show up, and they're not.
I will maybe say this, but this is speculation on my part. Maybe what's that character's name? God, I can't even. One that was
Don't
kidnapped.
worry. Don't worry, nobody remembers.
Oh,
it.
you're talking about Glittermouth?
Yeah, Glittermouth. Maybe his people told, like, made Starfleet aware that this was going to happen first. But this it's so stupid. A simple little line that says, "Oh, we informed Starfleet where you were, where you're going to be," would have saved people this speculation, this stupidity.
Well,
actually, I don't think that's the actual worst thing about it. The worst thing about this whole thing is that you remember JJ's in Star Trek Into Darkness. You know how they the writers they basically invent they put technology and invent technology into the story, which makes Star Trek and Starfleet obsolete. Remember Into Darkness? They now can trans warp. They can warp through solar systems, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the magic transporters that'll
they
go
put
from
that in
Earth
there. I
to
mean, that
Chronos.
makes Starfleet
Yes,
obsolete.
they killed Porthos. Scotty killed Porthos over it.
And then in this episode, I mean, this personal warp hole device that makes Starfleet obsolete. Why would you even have a Starfleet if you could go from point A to point B anywhere in the galaxy directly? You don't need Starfleet. There's another device they've made. They basically made this whole show, the premise of the show, obsolete. So they've destroyed the show again.
I mean, you had what was that?
Cancel it. Get rid of Starfleet. You don't need that. Just go from place to place.
Yeah.
What was in Star Trek Next Gen and in Deep Space Nine, where they had that race that basically had the way of moving on any world? They can jump onto any world.
That was the first episode. I remember the episode. I can't remember the race's name, but it's the first episode we saw the Ferengi in.
Oh, the Iconians?
Yeah,
Iconians. Yes, that was a big thing in Star Trek Online. It was a whole story arc, whole season arc on the video in the MMO RPG of the Iconians. But that's the first episode we saw Amir Quark, the guy who played Quark. He played one of the original Ferengi, and they were more bestial in that episode than they later on became in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Well, they were supposed to be the new villain.
Yes.
And how they came across in that performance there, Armin Shimmerman has since apologized for that and said, "I'm really glad we got a do-over with that." Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where the comedic aspects of that performance made it necessary to invent the Cardassians.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like the Ferengi to the point in the early episodes on it. Later on, Quark and the Grand Nagus and all that was a nice little touch to add to Deep Space Nine onto there. But still, it was
in the first few episodes of Deep Space Nine, they were still kind of animalistic and they'd hiss at each other. I remember, and then they slowly got to be more comedic and just bubbling tradesmen, and it was ridiculous, kind of.
Well, see, the thing about it is, though, you have to also remember the time period where we're at here. We're in the 90s, and Star Trek is informed by the politics of the day, and it's not woke, it's not progressive so much, but your classical liberal mentality there. But you have. And I've started to see a lot more discussion of this, of how Star Trek is actually more right wing than people want to acknowledge, because you have the capitalist in Quark recognizing that the Federation isn't quite so great as they're cut out to be, because this utopian thought experiment doesn't quite always work. DS9 really put the lie to that.
Oh, yes. You started seeing the cracks in the Federation.
Yeah, you see the cracks. But at the same time, with that conversation that Quark had with Garrick over the root beer. It's cloying and it's bubbly, but the more you drink it, the more you like it. And the Federation is kind of like that too. You get used to it there, and you hope that they're going to be the ones to save the day at the end, because no other system is better. And that's kind of where we are politically, with the United States versus the world, right? And we may not have it right all the time. It may not be a perfect scenario, but it's the best system that the planet has ever seen for government so far. So,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, so the Ferengi have been a pretty good tool to use for that to bring that perspective out and let some people examine it and say, maybe the Federation's okay.
Well, it showed.
There are two things with the that I liked from Deep Space Nine. The one Quark talks about, I think it was to Cisco that he tells him, he says, "Oh, you wish you were like us again. You were one term in your history, you were like us to that point. That you did all of this." And then there's that episode with Little Green Men where they go back in time to Roswell, and they said, "Oh my God, they smoke and they do this and they
nuke their own planet."
They nuked their own planet. They were shocked what was going on Earth in the past.
Well, that's the one thing I liked about Cisco. He understood economics. He understood the politics more than I think we've seen other Starfleet captains. He could play the games that the Ferengi played. I liked. There's one episode I think where Quark says you sound Ferengi. I think that was like the first episode or something. And but it also, the Ferengi were good at showing how the idea of an economic free society cannot exist. And they showed that even 300-400 years from now, we're still going to have a trade base system, and how that's never going to change.
Well, as Robert Meyer Burnett has pointed out, the only way that you get to any kind of scenario that remotely resembles Star Trek, the utopian future of Star Trek, is in a post-scarcity world where you don't want for anything. We have replicators and we can make things. And, if you need a self-sealing stem bolt, you can just call one up in the replicator and make it, and we're kind of there now with 3D printing. So eventually you get down to available resources. You can make whatever you need to make, and nobody goes in need. And until you have a society like that, you're not going to get to Star Trek. That you'll get the Bell riots more than you will Next Generation or anything remotely resembling Star Trek Utopia. Yeah. And even then, it's not really Utopia.
No, there was a YouTuber that put out a video on several movies and science fiction movies that literally in 2020, you look at 2026, it's stuff that, that's happening now. For example, the movie, The Conversation, where basically it was all based on that, that they were recording people's conversations and they were monitoring what people were saying on there. So it was the government was doing all that stuff in that movie. It was one big hit of a movie. Then you had then you have, and you got it today. And then you got Colossus, the Forbin Project, which you're talking about AI and computers and all that basically to that point. And I forgot what the rest of them. Silent Running, agricultural and all that to that point, and a couple of other movies, that basically we're at that point when we look back at those science fiction movies and the regular movies, what they put to that perspective is happening now. We're really going through it now. It's no longer fiction; it's become fact.
Well, it's like in Dune. I don't know how much y'all know about Dune, but the reason they have mentats, those human computers, is because it is one of the highest laws. You cannot make a machine that thinks like a human, because there was a thing called the Butlerian Jihad.
Mm-hmm.
That it was when men had given everything over to machines, so machines started controlling everything, and they went to this huge war to to end the machine's power. So how close are we to that? How close really are we to Skynet? I know that's people are like, oh, that's something stupid, just a joke. No, how really close are we to that? I listened to a bunch of YouTubers. They're retired military. One of them is called Habitual Line Crosser, and he talks about what he did. He can't go into really what he did in the military, but he talks about the military is usually about 10, 15 years ahead of where we are in public.
Yeah.
And he says that he was talking about the Golden Dome a few weeks ago, and how they're having to develop this program, this system that will determine where the defense stations for the Golden Dome will be, and it'll be more like there'll be more defense in DC than it will be in Arkansas. In a farm in Arkansas, that kind of thing. It's kind of like how the Iron Dome. He explained how the Iron Dome, if they realize a missile being shot into Israel is going to hit in the desert, they won't bother shooting it down. They'll just let it fall. So this interconnecting control that they're going to have, how long is it going to be till if it's not already is, in every single aspect of our lives?
Well, we're closer more to like the Stepford Wives situation. You know, if you've ever seen Stepford Wives or the Spielberg movie Artificial Intelligence. You know, we're closer to that right now. And you're seeing that, you know, and it's getting every year, it's getting those automatons are becoming better and better in what they're doing. I mean, even the military is starting to look into some of this stuff, you know, and you know, I mean, Elon Musk with his systems, the ones he's building as well. You know, we're close to that point now. If you ask how close are we are to Skynet, hard to say, but you know, it's pretty damn there. You know, to that point. It depends on when an artificial entity becomes self-aware.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to become self-aware the way everybody expects it to, because it's garbage in, garbage out. And we're seeing, like, with that one, what is it, Molt something, they've got their own, you know, the AI agents have created their own social media thing, whatever. And even then, the cracks have shown that there's people that are involved kind of directing some of the stuff that's happening over there. So I don't know that we're actually going to get to any kind of a sentient AI, like self-aware or anything, other than mimicry. It will appear to be, but it does that only because it's emulating what it's been taught. I don't think that we have the capability yet to develop develop true artificial intelligence that thinks for itself, that is self-aware, that is sapient, sentient, and all that stuff. I think we're a long way from that. But in the meantime, the stuff that we do have is scary stuff because it has the capacity to turn on you anyway. There was a report, and I want to say it was either Air Force or Army, some military test where they were testing AI control of missiles, and the AI had instructions that the missiles get fired, and you have this go or no go command that you're waiting on from the central controller that's a human being. And the mission is you use these missiles to destroy the target. And if the human, in the communications loop, the human gives you go, then you destroy the target. If it says no go, then you abort the mission and you don't destroy the target. It's a very simple setup. Well, the AI got to the point where it figured out that the mission is to destroy the target. And the human in the communications loop telling me not to do it is now the enemy trying to prevent me from fulfilling my mission. And so I'm not going to listen to it. And then it goes so far as to sabotage its own communications network so it can't even get the messages from the human saying abort. But all of that is because of how it's programmed. It's still doing the thing it's been taught to do. It's not thinking for itself. It's a bunch of if-then sequences that run amok and create this chaotic scenario that you don't anticipate, but you probably should, because humans can be stupid and machines are even more stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes to show you how interesting the episode of Starfleet Academy is that we're not even talking about it.
Exactly.
I was going to ask one more thing about this topic. How far off is that from iRobot and the 3 rules of robotics?
We're almost there. I mean, what they've been putting out recently. I mean,
well,
look at
the three rules. The 3 rules of robotics are a creative conceit. There's not. I guess you could program the robots that way, but you don't necessarily have to. There's nothing that says that any of these robots have the 3 rules programmed into them.
I mean, you want to be the scary part to the situation. You see all these other ones, like I said, Elon Musk and all that, but the ones the companies to look at right now that are doing any, advances on it are the adult industry ones. They improve every year. They get better and better, and even the looks of them, the shape, and now some of them are starting to move somewhat.
Well, the adult industry has been known for innovating a few different things in terms of process, and they've kind of been ahead of the curve on some.
Porn pushes everything.
Well,
the reason we have VCRs and video tape and all that.
Any invention of man is going to be made into something about sex.
It always is.
Rule 34.
Yep.
And speaking of sex, it's on one in there. Now tell me to the situation. We're on Cosine and with this whole situation. Did this not remind you sort of a Muck in Time?
Oh, it's absolutely a gay Amok Time. No question about that.
Amok is one of my favorite, episodes of original Star Trek, and I'm like, oh, come on, you can't even ruin that as well. You end up on the planet. He's getting married to the situation. You kind of expected if the gay Klingon was in love with, him, it would be sort of a fight situation. I would expect a fight situation to go on, but that never happens.
Well, I figured at the end when he's giving his speech, talking about how great Glittermouth is, and the camera is coming in on the fiance, and she's looking at Glittermouth, and she's looking at Polywharf, and she's looking at Glittermouth, she's looking at Polywharf. I was absolutely certain that she would look at them and goes, "You can't marry me. You two are a thing." And she didn't do that. It's the next best thing, I guess, is like, look, you're very important to these Starfleet kids. You got to go abdicate and do this thing and leave me in charge by myself.
I'm a big strong woman.
Look, she had a thing with the caterpillar eyebrows girl anyway. I mean, look at the way they were looking at each other.
I mean, look at this.
They're gay too.
All the people that in that scene, and you look at. Wait, let me flap that back a bit. One picture back. You look at everybody in the background. You look at their hairstyles on there, and then you jump to this one.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Yeah.
The
whole show is ridiculous.
His wife got rid of him so she could rule by herself with her lover there, the eyebrows chick. I mean, it was you know, the little wheels are turning in her head. I mean, she wants to be do everything on her own and not have some man telling her what to do. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean it's just it gets me to the situation, and you have this point where it's supposed to be very important onto there, and she's like, okay, you can go ahead and go back and play at your Starfleet Academy, and I'll rule the place. I was like, wow, really?
Well, now, okay, playing devil's advocate for just a moment.
Go right ahead.
The speech does, when she sits there and says, I'm hearing your cosine describe somebody I've never met before. It does imply that being at Starfleet has given Glittermouth a certain amount of growth and some life experiences that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise there on Koinonia or whatever. And she's like, this is an opportunity for you. This is something that you've always wanted to do because you feel like, this is your opportunity to go do something for yourself, as opposed to trying to get mommy and daddy to approve of you like you have been your entire life. You found your place. And I think there's a little bit of acknowledgement of that as well. Not just, I'll go rule on my own, mwahaha. She's realizing that Glittermouth doesn't belong here. He's found his spot and it's not here. And who am I to keep him from that? And here's the boyfriend too.
Okay, but you talk about that like offline by the side, and you don't go, hey, you really want to go to the other place? I'm basically kicking you out, and I'm going to tell everybody. And he doesn't even get to make a decision. He doesn't get to say yes or no. She basically tells him, and then says, I'm going to go tell everybody. I mean, no, you sit down and have a conversation about this. Do you really want to do this? Do you really want to do that? If she honestly, wanted him to be there and wanted what's best for him and wasn't thinking about herself, she would have sat down and discussed it rationally, not in a sort of like, hey, we're in the middle of our wedding party. I'm just going to tell everybody that you don't want to be here and you're going to abdicate and you're going to go back to Starfleet. All right. Yeah. Okay, good. Don't even bother saying yes. It's done.
Well, and that goes back to lazy writing and writers who don't have any experience with the thing what they're writing about, whether it's royal weddings, the succession and inheritance of a title, or anything like that. These punks who are writing this stuff, they spit in the wind and they think it's rain, and they don't understand anything outside of Harry Potter, Twilight, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Hunger Games. That's their sandbox. And so they're cribbing from all of that without understanding context of things. And so you get this stuff that's essentially shorthand, shortcuts. Well, it's this to that without any connective tissue, because they don't even think about the connective tissue narratively. It's just this collection of scenes. Well, this happens, and then this, and then this, and then this, but there's no thought in connecting them.
I'm glad you mentioned the words royal wedding, because this was supposed to be a royal wedding between these two, right?
Yes.
With what, 6 or 7 other people there?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Well, no, they specifically says they come on this moon. It's the private ceremony, and the next day is the main wedding and all the pomp and circumstance and all that.
Still, it felt way too small for what it was. They said it was.
They spent the $10
Where was
million
his
on
parents?
other stuff.
Parents are dead.
His parents?
His parents are dead, I think.
Dead. Yeah, I think that's
her
what they
parents. Her and the reason why all of this is happening is because one of her, I think it was her dad, has a heart incident, and they decide to abdicate early.
I thought it was his mom.
I think it was his
might have been mom. They're interchangeable. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Health reasons. Mom and dad are abdicating now. Hi, surprise! We're getting married now. We're going to rule the planet.
But you don't have to kidnap them. You don't have to. You could have just
that's
told
the-
them, "Hey, we're
that's
pushing
the
up
cult-
the timeline."
Yeah, but that's the cultural thing, right? Is the groom or the non-royal consort gets kidnapped.
Shotgun wedding.
She's the heir. She's the princess. He's not. Because if her parents are abdicating, then her parents are the king and queen, or the whatever they call the royal Mustafas there, and he's not. He might be some kind of a crown prince, duke, whatever, but he's not royalty. She is.
Yeah, and the thing is that got me with, and especially with the speech with the Klingon speech on there, going back to Deep Space Nine, General Martok, when he talks about relationships, when his wife comes on board,
Yeah.
and when Cisco gets married, and he's like, battle has begun. This is where he goes into a whole situation. He says,
It's all
I've lost my pet, because I think my wife left it open, to that point. That's the kind of speech I would have expected for a Klingon to say at this kind of a wedding, that he's a Klingon, he's not from this world, but still I would have expected some sort of Klingon speech, and that's not what we got.
Yeah, I mean, the whole premise is foolish. Here I am. I'm royalty. I'm sitting at this wedding. I'm going to be the queen. Some guy who I've never seen before. Supposedly she's heard about him, but
His parents are
I don't
not
know.
dead.
I don't know
Are they not?
anything about him. And he
No.
comes here and he makes a little speech, and it says a couple things that I didn't know about the person I'm going to marry. So therefore, hey, wedding's over. Come on. Why didn't you talk to him about this kind of stuff? Hey, have you really changed?
Well,
Some
not
guy,
only that, but
Klingon doesn't
Polyworth
even like him.
Polyworth gives this really eloquent speech to I guess a month and a half in the show chronology, month and a half after completely freezing up during the debates. Now the debate, and I was talking about this with Mindy the other night, is these debates are on the schedule, they're part of the curriculum, they're coming up so you can prepare for them. Whereas in this particular case, Polyworth didn't even know he was going to be anywhere close to this, and now suddenly he finds he's the best man, and you've got to give a speech in 10 minutes.
And
It's
he doesn't even
completely
like this guy.
spontaneous, completely unexpected, and he's perfectly fine. Once he decides that he's not going to fight with his boyfriend anymore, and he comes back and, okay, I'm going to say this thing about my friend, who's suddenly his friend after none of them have been getting along for all this time.
Yeah, everybody hates this guy.
He says this really, and I got to say, the speech was fairly well written. It's the only piece of the entire episode that's decent. But he says this thing, and I'm like, how are you able to stand up in front of this whole crowd spontaneously, contemporaneously say this thing without any kind of hesitation, without any kind of stress, without any kind of nerves, nothing, no stage fright, no nothing. You just walk in there,
Yeah.
you pick up the champagne and pop, 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 pop. It's not consistent with what's been established with his character. Again, it's lazy writing.
Oh, it is.
I
He
agree.
does the thing because the plot says he does the thing.
And it just continues on through this whole entire episode.
Mhm.
And speaking back, and ladies, with the ladies that are watching, of course we got this in the episode, which ladies would want this on a pillow, by the way.
That's not for the ladies. That's not for the ladies.
But
That's not this kind of show. That's not this kind of show. It's not
This show hates men.
Yeah, it does.
Now, even though they put this in here, and it's a little eye candy for the ladies, and that's fine. But not only, but they can't even just put it in there for that. She's got to come over there, and the first thing she says, she starts putting them down, taking them down a peg. Oh yeah, look, I put this on. What are you doing? They want it in there so that they can go oogle the guy, but then they have to, take his ego down a peg and stick it to him with verbally to, make him, quote, non-threatening or something. I don't know.
Then of course, Genesis is, stayed behind, and and again, where did the alarms go off? No alarms. if she came back, beam, whatever the hell is that matter transport thing that they have now on this show, it's like she came back, no alarms going off. Such an easy way to steal the Athena, and they got aboard the bridge.
Yeah, hacked into the bridge. Like, that's easy to do.
Again, where's all the security? Don't they have security that beams in instantly? That was back on episode. What was it?
That's what I
2?
mentioned.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's back 1 and 2, and I'm repeating what you're saying. It's like, don't they?
That's
have
all the way
this?
back. That's all the way back in Discovery when they first come to Earth after coming to the future.
No, I'm talking in this series. In this series, there was that.
No, I'm saying it's not. It goes farther back than that.
Oh yeah, no, obviously, but I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. I went to a community college, a small little community college. And got my associates. We had security there 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to events in the evenings, leaving 8, 9, 10 o'clock, leaving the campus and seeing police officers driving around. We had our own police station on campus. Are you telling me Starfleet Academy, supposedly one of the highest learning institutions in the galaxy, does not have the same kind of security that my small little community college has?
Well, not only that, but it's not just a university; it's a military establishment. It's a military facility.
It's West Point.
It's got weapon systems on it that could blow up a planet.
Right? I mean, what?
Jeez.
You're
it's a nuclear bomb, basically, except more powerful.
The ship is docked at San Francisco, Marin County, at Starfleet Academy. They're on the campus. And what does Genesis do? She activates the warp engines. What are you going to do with that, young lady? Excuse me? And you're going to tell me that once you activate the engines, somebody from engineering might sit there and go, excuse me, engineering to bridge, what's going on? Or somebody over at Starfleet headquarters will look out over the bay and say, Athena's engines are on. Hey, Athena, what you got going over there? Nothing.
You're not scheduled to be leaving the planet, and you're not scheduled to be firing the warp drive.
You didn't file a flight plan. You want to explain yourself here, but of course, there's nobody on the bridge, so there's no communications officer. There's not even a skeleton crew. There's not even a night watch, a fire watch crew, anything like that.
Say, yeah.
Even a U.S. Navy ship in a secure harbor.
Yeah.
In the United States would have some sort of skeleton or night crew on there.
Absolutely.
At least one officer and some somebody in all the major departments, engineering, command, for sure. Like, it's just crazy. Tig Notaro and Femhadar are the only ones there. I don't know if Femhadar's there. She's on the radio, but it's just, it's how can people, there's no alarms. There's no alarm goes off when the warp drive, fires up. All these various systems.
We've seen this in Next Generation when they've had a night shift crew. Data was part of the night shift crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Third watch.
And they had the lights dimmed down and everything to that point. And then when the bridge crew comes in, everything.
Well, that's a little different. That's not that's just the third watch of the ship.
But still,
a ship out of port would have 24-hour watch as well. But it wouldn't necessarily. A skeleton crew wouldn't be as much as a night watch per se. Necessarily, but it's crazy. It's just Now, I want to do one thing about the security systems. We talk about security systems. I've heard sort of two things about Star Trek. Well, number one is that I think there was an episode, and I can't remember where it was, where there's some civilians. It might have been those the guys they pick up that are 200 years old, and the guy wants to talk with his his broker and all that stuff.
Yes.
From the original series, I think. But he's playing. Somebody's playing around with the systems, and they're like, "Oh, you're not allowed to touch that." And they do mention, they do say, "Oh, there's not security on it because in the future everybody's more mature and they know not to touch what it is they're not supposed to touch." But now, of course, they would still have some security when they have civilians on there. Or
I just want to say hello. I just want to say hello to James out there and Michelle, who also just joined us also on the chat room.
That was an early season 1 episode, and we talked about this. Jason mentioned this last week, or how it was still Roddenberry's idealistic views in first and second season of Next Generation.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like that idea, but you're not going to go, and it does make some sense, but you don't need to, lock, this down from the sergeant because the sergeant knows not to touch it or whatever. But there is still going to be. I mean, this is a bunch of. I mean, there's a bunch of brand new cadets on this ship. They're from all over the place. This guy here is a criminal for 15 years. I mean, you can't have your open systems, and it's obviously they don't know not to touch them because they're off touching them.
Remember that when I brought this episode up last week, where they find the ship with the little boy's the only survivor, and it's that harmonic resonant. Like, the more powerful the shields are, the more this harmonic resonant wave damages the ship, and he connects to Data, and he's the whole episode he's like, "It's my fault. I fell on the control panel, and I pushed something, and it destroyed my ship," not knowing it was that wave and the shields mixing. And Data's like, "You can't do that because there's a security code each Starfleet officer has that they have to put in to activate the console." That's why you see in a lot of later Next Gen, you see the consoles blank until they sit down and then they do something and poof, it turns on.
Mm-hmm.
So it has always had security measures.
Well, and you go back to Star Trek 2. Each ship has its own command code to prevent an enemy from what we're going to attempt, using our console to order Reliant to lower her shields. I mean, all of this stuff is secured environment stuff.
Yeah. But all of a sudden it's not. It's like 800 years later, they decide, "Oh, we don't need to do that stuff anymore."
Yeah, and we were saying before, engineering crew, what if, forbidding that, the warp core decides to overload?
Yeah.
And they have to eject the damn thing, and there's nobody down there there goes San Francisco.
Bye-bye, San Francisco.
Well, and they've established as far back as the original series that warp engines have a startup procedure. You don't just flip a switch and turn them on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, remember in the motion picture how messed up when Kirk tried to go to warp, and how it almost destroyed the ship.
Yeah,
they almost hit the fucking asteroid.
Yeah, because what happened was we'll get nerdy here for a second. So you have the matter and the antimatter, and as they come together, the explosive force between them is regulated through the dilithium crystal chamber, right? That's what allows them to go past warp 4. And if you don't have that mix formula balanced just right, then it causes the wormhole effect like we saw in the first movie. And so,
so Jason, is that why Cochrane didn't need dilithium to go to warp 1?
Yeah.
I always wondered that.
Yeah, because you have this in Enterprise with
the
Archer ship being the first warp 5 ship.
Yeah, because they tried they were spinning when they were doing the trials in that great episode where Archer tells them the story about actually test flying.
Mm-hmm.
Because they always with the NX Beta and Alpha, they couldn't get the reaction mix right.
Yeah,
and it would cause the warp field to collapse. I remember that, but I always wondered if dilithium was the key to warp travel. How did Zefram Cochrane break the warp barrier without dilithium? You just answered a decades-long question for me, Jason.
You're welcome.
Holy shit.
And even then, in early episodes, it was just lithium. we didn't get to dilithium until later on in season 1 because, well, lithium is an actual thing, and somebody's going to look at it and say lithium didn't do that. But if we call it dilithium, now it's science fiction. So yeah. And then of course you've got trilithium, which is what the Romulans were kind of using with their singularity drives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trilithium shows up in the first Next Generation movie, or someplace where I don't even know.
Wait, what was the one where Roe and Geordi got caught in a backdraft, and they ended up to be invisible through the whole episode?
Yeah, they got thrown out of phase with reality. I can't.
That was something to do with the cloaking device, I thought.
Yeah, but it did involve the singularity engine of the Romulan ship. Somehow the singularity affected the cloaking device, or something went haywire, and there was an explosion, and they got shifted into a different phase from everything else.
So trilithium is a nuclear inhibitor which stops all fusion within a star by a quantum implosion. That's why Soren, to get back into the Nexus, he was shooting trilithium missiles into different stars to move the course of the Nexus into Viridian 3.
Yeah, he was changing the magnetic fields of the galaxy.
I love that movie. I know a lot of people don't like it. I like the Next Generation movies. Except for Nemesis. Nemesis was
They're okay.
They're okay.
But yeah, you know, with all this that it's going, and it just amazes me. And you know, just today, I think we just got an article today. I forgot to put it in the system from TV Line, and they're talking about, you know, the changes that they want to make to this to improve it. What is it? Sussman?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that story, because TV Line is saying that Sussman pitched it to Kurtzman, and I've been told that's not the case.
Sussman put it on Twitter.
Well, I know he did, and that's got me wondering about it, because in that article it says that Sussman pitched it to Kurtzman, and I don't know. He might have, but all of the information I have is that Sussman pitched it to CBS Paramount, not to Kurtzman. Or it could very well be that he pitched it to Kurtzman, and Kurtzman turned it down, and then he went back to CBS and did it. I don't know wherever it is sitting now. Sussman was at Paramount Friday a week ago, because he posted that on. I think Sussman's throwing everything out there to keep everybody talking about it. You know, here's coverage of this show. Here's coverage of this show. Here's coverage of this show. And, you know, here's the pitch. Here's the pitch. Here's the pitch. And in order to keep people talking about it, to make it more likely that Paramount's going to green light it. I think we're very close to a green light on Star Trek United very soon.
Is that the Scott Bakula stuff that I'm looking at?
Yes, the President Archer stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be interesting. Captain Archer is one of my favorite captains. I liked seeing a Starfleet or Star Trek captain without like Starfleet to support him, and the hard choices he had to make.
Yeah. Well, and this comes out of the episode In a Mirror Darkly, where they're in the mirror universe on the Defiant.
Two of the greatest episodes of Enterprise, in my opinion.
And Mirror Archer opens up the file on his counterpart. Mm-hmm. And there's a screen that people can see that lists the rest of Jonathan Archer's career. Yeah. He ends up as an ambassador to Andor, and he eventually becomes the president of the Federation. And that graphic is where Sussman is coming up with this show. It's like, oh, hey, we can do this because it's canon. I got to go let the dog out. I'll be right back.
Yep. Michelle, don't worry about the rant. We're all ranting here today, so don't feel if you're ranting in the chat. This is what we're doing too. Also, hi PB, how you doing on there? Just to get you, because I know there's a lot of people that are watching right now. Understand, if you want to talk in the chat, give your 2 cents on that. I appreciate, on there. Just keep the language to the minimum to that. Also, like I said again, we do have super chats. We are running memberships. Yes, there is a commercial in the stream on there on the live stream as well. I just have to figure out, how to control it, where it should be in the stream. But yeah, we just got monetized. So, finally, after 8 years, we're monetized on this channel. So, hurrah!
So, but getting back to this episode, one word to
getting back to
describe
this.
it, I'd say my word would be boring.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like nothing. I mean, you had Genesis. She wanted to change her records. She wanted to change, because I'm going into the captain's program. I don't want people to know what they wrote about me and all that. Oh God, come on.
Wouldn't they have already seen that though? I mean, when she got in, they would have already
No,
read her
she
recommendation.
No. There's another committee.
Before she came in, she changed her references letters, and she was trying to get rid of that evidence because she knew when the recommendation committee saw it, they would figure out that her recommendations were lies.
Because they would talk to the people who.
Yes.
That's the difference. That's what she's doing. She's changing her. But at this point, it's too late. Like, you can't go around and mess with that. She's going to erase her recommendation letters, or they're going to go, hey, where'd your recommendation letters go? I mean, what's she going to do? Lie about that? Oh, I didn't get in with any of them. I mean, the whole plan doesn't seem to make sense to me. And then secondarily, I mean, why is she getting recommended for the program? I mean, she was calm on the bridge and she figured out that thing, sure. But, there was people under stress, like Caleb was fighting and figuring things out. And even Hologram Chick, helped save the day by, starting up the computer. Like, didn't those guys do even a better job under stress?
Remember who her daddy is.
Yeah, but so Star Trek is completely nepotistic then? So her father's an admiral, so she's the only one? I mean, the other cadets, I would say, from the storyline, did at least as good a job as she did, and also under, a lot more stress. So why aren't they being recommended? Just because, yeah. So
she has number one, she has high scores to begin with onto there. Well. But that her father must have whispered, off screen whispered something into, hey, my daughter.
So,
she could be
we're all agreeing that Star Trek is completely nepotistic now. It was originally started out as this, a great example of a merit-based society. Everyone was there. It didn't matter what color they were or what sex they were. They were there based on their merit because they were good. And now it's completely the opposite, is what you're saying.
Admiral Paris and his son. Remember the whole situation. Paris was sent to jail to the whole situation. Admiral Paris could have got him out, but didn't get him out. Left him there to learn his lesson. Joining the Maquis in the whole situation. Then ended up in Voyager. To that whole situation, and he was proud of him later. After they regained contact with the Voyager. To that point.
Yeah. Do you also remember that originally? Tom Paris was supposed to be. It was played by the same actor in that episode of Next Generation, where Wesley. That was supposed to be Paris. It was the same actor, and that was the reason he was supposed to be kicked out of Starfleet. But they changed it for some reason.
Yeah,
well, they didn't want to. They didn't. The reason they changed it was they didn't want to pay the guy who wrote the initial story.
Really,
and used the same Locarno. Used that name Locarno. So they just made him, same actor. They just changed his name. So they wouldn't have to pay the guy who wrote that story.
Yeah, Paramount.
And I just realized the other day, the guy who played Paris was in Masters of the Universe.
Yes. Courtney Cox will refuse to acknowledge that movie.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of people that refuse.
And Jennifer Aniston will refuse to acknowledge Leprechaun.
He's directed a couple movies, Star Trek episodes and stuff.
Great. I liked Paris. Paris was one of my favorite characters on Voyager. I loved his he was obsessed with his cartoons and history. One of my favorite episodes is the 37s, when they find all Amelia Earhart and all those characters. He recognizes the truck that they find floating in space.
The old Ford.
Yeah.
That was get me. It's like an old Ford floating in space. How the hell did that happen?
Oh yeah, they explained it. That was a good episode.
Yeah, it is a good episode. That what?
And how I loved it how he would always make fun of the Doctor for being bald, and then in the final of Voyager, set like what 30 years from now he becomes bald. It's like, oh, karma.
No, Captain Proton was always my favorite.
Yes.
On there.
Well, it was Fairhaven, the pool hall, Captain Proton. He really did a lot. Paris.
Mhm.
He was really underappreciated for how much he did for the crew, because he gave them so many ways to escape. Like then he created that hula program, the luau program. I mean,
Well, he's doing it for himself, but he is at least, nice enough to say, hey, everybody else would like this too. Come and join in.
no
And
Fairhaven.
you also remember he built a better version of the runabout,
Yes, the Delta Flyer. Yeah,
the Delta Flyer, which was
that was his idea, but it was a group effort.
Yeah, but it was a
but
good
you couldn't have done
concept
it
on
without
there.
Tom.
And then there's that episode where they found the junkyard, and they found that ship that basically took him over.
Yeah,
It had an entity built into it.
yeah. I liked Tom was one of my favorite characters.
But yeah, I liked Voyager to a point on certain things, and like I said, and then, once again, Year of Hell should have been a whole season on that. That would have been great as a whole season.
That was with Year of Hell was the Kurtwood Smith played the bad guy, right? Red.
Yes,
Red Foreman.
yes.
Great actor. He's such
Great
a good
actor
actor.
on there. The other one was Scorpion. Should have been a whole entire season. Where they're fighting against the other race from the other dimension, from the liquid dimension. Species 8472. I think it's 8472.
Scorpion. What? Yeah, that was the episode that 7 of 9 was introduced in.
Right.
7 of 9 to me was I could not stand her. Not because, I couldn't stand the air a superiority of her over her. I'm thinking, my whole thing with 7, she's not a member of Starfleet, so technically Harry Kim outranks her.
That's true.
So why the hell is she going around elbowing Harry out of the way when they're doing projects?
Because she's rude and has no sense of human interaction, because she was taken as a board when she was
and it
6
never
or whatever,
changed.
And she
and
just
it's
and
really
I just
hard
found
for
out
her to.
I just found out she celebrated a birthday this week. I'm 1 year older than her. I'm like, oh my god.
I did see.
I think you could establish her as a mission specialist, maybe, which might allow for a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, it was a contrived thing from the start.
Yeah. Wasn't she in Jerry Ryan in a relationship with one of the producers or writers on the show at the time?
Yeah, Andre Bormanis.
Yeah, so that's really.
But that didn't happen. That didn't happen until after she got on the show.
Oh, didn't.
As far as I know.
I did see an article recently, because a lot of people don't realize Voyager was The Rock's first on-screen acting performance.
Yes.
And he said in an interview that Jerry Ryan was so cool to work with when they were doing their
wrestling
fighting scenes. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. She's a fine actress. I didn't like the character.
I read
I liked it
a while back. Jerry didn't even like the character. She was not going to take it because she saw what they were going to do. They were sexing up Voyager with this character because she's looking at the costumes and all this other stuff. However, the opportunity for the growth and the character arc that they had discussed with her is what convinced her to do the show. And to be honest, really, I mean, the cat suit, the bodysuit, and the whatever, doesn't hurt, but she does have one of the more interesting arcs of any of the characters on Voyager.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. And also, I mean, the thing is the problem with Starfleet is that there's not much conflict between any of the crew. Now, initially, Voyager is set up where they've got the Maquis and the Starfleet crew. So there's a little bit of conflict baked in. But by the 4th season, that should all be smoothed over. Everyone should be used to that. So they bring in Jerry Ryan. They bring in this, person who's a Borg and who's chafing at everything and thinks she's, better than everybody. And they introduce that, crew conflict a little bit. And, especially between her and Janeway, who then takes her under her wing and tries to basically mother and, teach her. Sort of thing. So
Is
I
it
thought it
me,
was a great
is it
character
me
growth.
that they killed Seska too soon in the series?
Yeah, probably. Well, the thing
She was having
was,
issues, wasn't he? She,
well,
the actress.
They
no,
were,
no, no.
They
That
were
was
done with the
Cass.
Curzon.
That was Cass. That was Jennifer Lane.
He's
Oh,
on it.
Tess. I got confused. Sorry.
Yeah, not Seska. Seska was the Cardassian disguised as a
Undercover
Bajoran.
Maquis crew
She ended
member.
up with the Kazon and whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe they killed her too soon, but you didn't have the Kazon for as long as you otherwise would without her. What I think they probably should have done is Year of Hell should have been an entire season and should not have gotten a reset button. I would have liked to see
Doesn't
Year of
matter to me.
Hell become the new normal reality for Voyager going forward from that. And Jerry Ryan and Kate Mulgrew didn't hate each other. There's been a lot of back and forth over the years. They have since reconciled, totally. But at the time, Mulgrew was a little bit resentful because she knew why they were bringing Jerry in for the sex appeal. Because one of the things that she had said that she didn't want to do is sex up Janeway, and she was a little irritated. But at the same time, that tension between the two contributed to the chemistry that they had on screen, and they've since had time to discuss all of those different things and the situations and the different producers and what they were trying to do and whatnot, and they're fine now. They didn't hate each other, but Mulgrew resented Jerry being there because of what it represented the producers were trying to do to the show. It wasn't a personal animosity so much as it was a professional. She took it as a professional insult for what they were trying to do to the show.
And if you look at the show at the time, I mean, there's a lot of 7 of 9 episodes. I mean, imagine you're on the crew, you're one of the primary actors, and you've never, this person shows up, and all of a sudden she's getting, every third episode is about her and her growth and stuff. And I've been on the show I'm Harry Kim, and I've been on the show for 4 years, and I don't even get a promotion yet.
If I remember right, the actor who played Harry Kim actually is the only Star Trek actor who, when asked if he could direct a show, was told no.
Really? That I didn't know.
No, I didn't know that either.
I might have. I've heard that somewhere. But the character of Harry Kim, he even says in one episode, I think it's like season 2 or 3, he's like, I could be like a lieutenant by now or even a commander, and because he's talking to Janeway about not being promoted because there's only so many officer spots on this one ship. And because Janeway even looks at him and says, well, someone thinks highly of themselves, don't they? Or something like that.
Harry Kim is already an officer. He's already an officer. He's an ensign. He's an officer. He's the lowest level of naval officer. So, I mean, Janeway could have made him a provisional or something or other.
She could have serving ensign in Starfleet history.
Yeah, 7 years. I mean, she could have promoted him. Oh, there's not a. I mean, who's going to say? What's HR going to do? She's 70,000 light years away.
Well, he did get two. He did get two. Was it 2 episodes he got to get about him, just to direct him? The one where he ended up back on Earth, like if he never
directed?
was on. No, not directed. Basically, the show focused on him.
Yeah, that's something. That's
Well,
he got episodes. I'm just saying, Jerry Ryan shows up. She's, and all of a sudden she's getting a lot of. I mean, because they're writing for the character. It's a new character, and she's an interesting character, more interesting, arguably, than the other characters, except maybe Janeway. So. the writers are working with what they have and they're excited about it. But you can see how that might have been a problem with some of the.
This is the nature. Yeah, this is the nature of an ensemble show.
Yeah,
because you had this happen in every series, really. You go back to the original series, for example. William Shatner is the star.
Yes.
Leonard Nimoy is the co-star, and they get top billing on the show in the title sequence for the first season. Nimoy's character of Spock is super popular, and he's getting a ton of fan mail, and William Shatner is kind of a little jealous. It's like, wait a minute, I'm the star of the show. And that was the beginning of the reciprocity clauses in the contracts. Well, if he gets this, I get this. And if he gets that, I get that. And he gets to direct, I get to direct. All of that. And it was both of them.
What a mistake.
Because they were both stars of the show. And then, then the second season, D. Kelly got in there as well, because the writers realized that it was the three of them, the dynamic between the three of those characters, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, the triumvirates is what everybody called them.
Yep.
That drove the show. And you had all of the supporting characters, and it wasn't a true ensemble the way they did the setup in subsequent shows.
Yeah.
But when you get to Next Generation, it becomes the Picard Data show, because Data's the breakout popular character. Every show has that. With DS9, you had Odo and Quark. They're the popular, Laurel and Hardy, R2 and 3PO type, comic relief, but it's because of the dynamic between them. And then for Voyager,
you telling me Morn was not the breakout character of Deep Space Nine? Come on, who doesn't love Morn?
Morn? The breakout character of the entire franchise. I mean, he defines the franchise. But for Voyager, it was seven. Yeah, for Voyager, it was seven on the Doctor, which is one of the reasons why I think they brought the Doctor back for Starfleet Academy, because Robert Picardo's character was so popular for the original show.
Yeah.
And then for Enterprise, you've got T'Pol there looking all sexy and whatnot in her cat suit. But Connor Trinneer's character, Trip, was fairly popular.
Trip.
And yeah, James is right. Garrick, out of the guest stars, Garrick was great. And Gul Dukat had his admirers as well. Gul Dukat was a great villain.
Oh yeah,
he was awesome.
So, you have every ensemble has those characters that break out and become more popular than everybody else. And so the writers lean toward that. They say, well, you give the audience what they want, and they want more 7 of 9. You give them more 7 of 9. And if Icheb wants to draw a picture of her naked, then you're going to get Jerry Ryan naked on set. That's because that's how the productions happened back then. Now they do it to be deliberately titillating, whether the story calls for it or not. Whether the audience wants it or not, they're going to do it because they think that you need to have this thing because they know better. It's a completely different dynamic that drives it.
Why did they get rid of the other Borg kids, except Icheb?
Probably at a guess, I would say age, because child actors have certain rules on set.
Yeah.
They can only work for so many hours. You got to have the tutors, you got to have the guardians and the parents and the managers. It costs money to have 5 kids in a show. Every time you have the Borg kids, there's 5 of them, and that's 5 lines on the call sheet, and that's 5 paychecks and insurance and food and all of these other line items of the budget that, occasionally, okay, fine, but every single time we want to tell a story about Icheb, we got to hire these other 4 kids. That's a budget consideration more than anything else. And then there's probably story consideration too, because how are we going to tell a story for all 5 kids every time we have all 5 kids on the episode? And
they might be of different skill. Like it's very difficult to find a child actor who's very good and can do a great. I mean, you can find them, but These kids are not talking that much, generally speaking, in the episode they show up with. I mean, Icheb's obviously an adult and he can act, and then we see that later on. But can you get the same out of all of these younger kids? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, but you also
Yeah.
lost out on Samantha Wild when you brought the kids in too.
Oh, Samantha, yeah. It's Scarlet Palmer's.
Yeah.
But part of that, I think you had. Why did she leave the show?
Did she
I mean,
go
she
on to
showed
do
up in-
Reba after this? How long was Reba? Because she was she on the Reba. She was the middle daughter.
Yeah, she was on Reba, and then there was something else that she did after that. I can't remember what it was. Honestly, I can't remember why she wasn't on the show anymore. I don't think they got rid of her. I want to. Hang on. Let me look, because I want to say that she went to. I think she went to school. Let me look.
I also want to bring up this picture. I just found this video online because there was a great video out talking about the fan videos. Star Trek Continues and all that, and how CBS just buried these shows. But I found this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He
very
played
young Seth MacFarlane, who did a Star Trek fan video.
Yeah, he did a guest star. He was one of the engineers on the Columbia in Enterprise. That
No, this is his own when he was a kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
He always loved Star Trek.
Huge big Star Trek fan.
Now we know why he did the Orville the way he did it.
The Orville was chef's kiss. It's one of the best non-Star Trek sci-fi shows out there.
I think it's better.
I think it's more Star Trek than anything after Enterprise.
It technically is Star Trek with the serial numbers filed off. I mean, you look at the production team. How many people? Brandon Braga's on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many Star Trek writers were contributing scripts. I mean, it essentially is a Star Trek show without the Star Trek paint job.
It was marketed, if I remember right, the first season was marketed as kind of like a Star Trek parody.
Yeah.
But then by the second season, it got more serious tone and really stood well on its own 2 feet.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite shows.
So I'm looking at Scarlett Palmer's listing on IMDb. It says here in the trivia section, in late 2005. When did Voyager go off the air?
Like
Voyager.
2001.
Okay, so late 2005, Palmer's checked into an anorexia nervosa treatment facility. Her weight had dropped to 73 pounds. So that was probably after the show. I don't see here anywhere I don't see anything here about her leaving Voyager. I can look a little bit here. Hang on, let me. Star Trek Voyager. She did 16 episodes on Star Trek Voyager. Homestead was her last one. That was the one where we got the older Naomi Wildman. Let's look here.
As for that, once again, folks, don't forget to you can subscribe, like, share. Like I said, we have memberships now. We're on there, the Neo Fan and Asylum levels on our show now, and also you could do super chats and thank yous now. Also, even after this video is over, and all of our other videos on CutiCast TV.
Referencing what PB is talking about, I thought that they did. I mean, they could have done more with the 8472 and the Hirogen, but they did do. They came back a couple times. We saw a recurring theme with those villains. I thought that was well done about Voyager. They bring back, at odd times they'd bring some of these older villains back, and you'd be like, oh, hey, good, another one of those. There's still something going on, and it would seem to evolve organically. Like they would be like. The example being where species 8472 is checking to be humans, trying to be humans, and they're faking Starfleet Academy and all that stuff. That's a great, hey, what would these evil villains do next? Hey, maybe they try to infiltrate. Hey, let's do a story about that.
PB
Really
also,
well done.
Yeah, PB also mentions about Morn is the wing that holds all together of Western society.
Yes. I think she might have left Voyager. Well, she was on Voyager from 98 to 2001, Reba 2001 to 2007. I think she might have left Voyager for Reba.
From what I read, that she didn't necessarily leave Voyager. It's just her story concluded. Like
Yeah.
they concluded using her, so that's when she went off to Reba. So I don't think it
Well,
was like any hostile reason why. I think it was, hey, the story's
Yeah,
done.
they didn't
move on.
fire her or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Time to
well,
to
she
move
was
on.
in for a short moment in one of the last episodes where Neelix was in contact with her. They were playing Scott.
Yeah, that was the actual last.
That was Homestead. That was the next to last episode. That was the episode where Neelix left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, afterward. That was after Homestead.
No,
What-
no, Homestead was her last episode.
Oh, okay. Because I remember that they were talking on when the future Janeway showed up when they found the Borg.
Yeah, I don't remember her in that scene because
She's not in that episode.
Seven and Neelix were playing that game over subspace.
Yeah.
Naomi was done by then. The Homestead was episode 22 that year. I just looked it up. That was her final appearance. So
Interesting.
but as far as bad blood or anything like that, I mean the whole reason we got 7 was because we lost Cass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because everything that was going on with Jennifer Lane. I mean,
She was batshit crazy.
That story is awful. I feel so bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that she's completely recovered still.
What's the story? The actress who played Cass?
Drugs more than anything else.
She
got into that and
during the show.
During the show, and
that's why they got rid of her.
Afterwards, there was she had a mental breakdown. And it spiraled out of control on that front. Spent some time in facilities. There was at one point, I think she was walking around public,
Naked.
not decently clothed, let's say. Yeah, she's had some issues. There's some stuff there. But I would hope that at some point she's recovered. I think she's doing better now than she was, but I haven't heard anything lately. So,
I mean, the setup with her and Neelix was kind of the some of the weakest characters on the show.
Yeah.
And the whole perceived love triangle by Neelix between Kes, him, and Pet Tom made no sense whatsoever, in my opinion.
Well,
to me, Tom was he was being a friend. He wasn't trying to hit on her or anything. But every time, like if any guy said hello to Kes, Neelix would go fucking insane.
Well, he was a very jealous Talaxian. Yes.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yes, and when are they going to stop talking about Talaxian flies on Star Trek Academy? I think I've heard it like once every episode.
I haven't seen.
The Talaxian fruit fly is made. Yeah, it's just
yeah. It's every time Steven comes out, he's like, "Yes, would someone get the Talaxian fly out of the cake? Out of the kitchen this time around? It's like every time we hear that they have not captured this damn thing."
Yeah, it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. It's just stupid.
But yeah,
ouch! Paramount Skydance Corporation, $10.39 a share.
Ouch!
Ooh, Jesus!
Ouch!
Warner Brothers sitting at $29.15. Netflix.
Angel Shadows. He's going to be upset now.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how all that shakes out.
Okay. 1,000 Mimbori warrior cast versus 1,000 Klingons. Melee weapons only. Pikes and Bathlets, who wins?
Klingons.
But
I
also,
gotta go
did you
Klingons too.
did what? I'm sorry.
Minbari warrior cast versus Klingons, Batlets versus Pikes, Klingons.
Klingons, of course.
Yeah, Klingons.
Yeah. But
Mm.
have you noticed, and I know, Jason, you probably noticed this, have you noticed so much that they pushed as far as articles on, the gay Klingon just in the last 2 days?
Oh yeah, I mean they're totally doing an op.
I mean, I've already seen about, what is it, seven. There's been at least 7 or 8 articles just recently.
Yeah, because they have to push it, they have to promote it.
Yeah. But the thing is, and I was talking to Snob the other night about this, that you try to push characters like this, and you can't be. The gay community doesn't want to see gay characters all the time. I mean, the Logo Network is the perfect proof what happened to them years ago. It just basically, what happened. What happened. I mean, it just, this article over here, and it said it, back years ago. It's like RIP Gay TV, not so sad reality, which is the truth. The Logo Network had to shut down, change their format, and went total sitcom. Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days and the nanny and all. And the only thing that was anything close to what the original Logo Network was that they had the advertisement for RuPaul's Drag Race, which was moved to VH1.
But all those sitcoms you named were all gay anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is that the programming itself just completely changed. That wasn't the only one. They had Sanford and Son. They had a lot of others that they ran that were not up to that point. But the thing about it is the Logo Network was geared for the gay community, and it just didn't work out.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that if you actually look at the census numbers and the demographic numbers, the LGBT community, as it were, the population that identifies as such, is not really that big. 3% maybe, being generous with people who haven't come out, probably 5 to 7% of the population of the United States are probably identifying as non-heterosexual in some way. And that's not enough to sustain any kind of a customer base, no matter what your product is. If you're selling to just 3% of your potential market, you're not going to sell a whole lot. And it's very niche, it's very specialized, it's very much in a box. And I ran the numbers one time for, I think, when CW had something like 5 shows in the Arrowverse. Excuse me, they were running at 22% representation. I was like, that doesn't reflect reality. That's oversaturating in order to promote and propagate this view that this is normal. You're trying to normalize abnormal behavior. You're trying to normalize something that not a very big percentage of the population participates in. Mm-hmm. But the media wants you to think that everybody's gay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
Lacosta Vampa, you're new to the channel. Welcome aboard. Nice to have your comment on there. Oh my God, how many seasons did Drag Race have? I think they're still going.
Yeah. People like that show.
Well, and they've also renewed
that show is
what's the other one? The Dragula with the drag queen vampires. I think that's gotten a new season.
But now that Drag Race would not survive without, straight people watching it. Like, there's no way, right? It's very popular with
box wine liberal women.
Yeah, it's
I mean, in the anime universe, Yuri and Yari, which are the the gay shows that they have, the mangas and the anime, does very well, but it's not something that's pushed like what they tried to do now, what Hollywood's been doing as of late.
Mhm.
You know,
I would suspect that gay people want good stories just like straight people. I mean, do we not? I mean, everybody wants a good story.
Well, you have the trans community being the activists that have pretty much ruined it for everybody at this point, because they're it's so over the top. And you're right, the gay community, the LGP part of that alphabet soup, we just want to be treated like everybody else. And the transgender people we want to be treated better than everybody else. We want all these special privileges, we want all this special behavior and whatnot. And it highlights how much of a special needs cohort they are. Especially considering the activity that they've been engaged in involving firearms. So these are people who are not mentally well. Most people who are homosexual, I think you can sit there and say they're probably not mentally unfit for society. Some religious groups might make that argument, but there's a big difference in the mental and emotional health of somebody who's homosexual versus somebody who is trans. Yes. And we're seeing a huge disconnect in those two communities, where the homosexuals like, no, not my circus, not my monkeys. And I think that divide is going to further open up wider in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah. But the other thing is, like I said, I saw this video, and it was a great video. I'm trying to remember the guy who did it, that he went over the whole Axanar situation, the CBS Axanar and all that. And he went further into depth how many other producers that there were, how many other Kickstart productions got shut down, and they were threatened by CBS.
Yes. Yeah.
At points.
Well,
I mean,
what ended up happening, and Alec Peters. So the fact that they were doing a fan film, that was no big deal in and of itself. They did Prelude to Axanar, which was a fantastic fan film. Everybody loved it. Everybody thought it was like, this is really cool. And you had J.G. Hertzler in it, and Tony Todd was in it. All these people were just like, I know who these people are. You got these actors. And Peters took that and said, okay, we're going to make a movie. And you got the Kickstarter, and you got, they raised however many $1 million, $1 million, $3 million, however much it was. And suddenly he's out there saying, we're going to make a movie that's more Star Trek than Star Trek. We're going to make the real Star Trek movie, because Kelvin Trek was going on, and, some people weren't happy with it. So we're going to make Star Trek. And so he started promoting his as if it were a real licensed Star Trek production. Did not know that. Then got Gary Graham back to play Ambassador Saval, and everything just kind of ballooned and mushroomed, and then it mushroomed cloud. And John Van Sitters, his vice president of branding at CBS, he had a meeting with Alec Peters during Trek in Vegas one year, and said, Alec, you probably don't want to do this. And it was that, combined with the fact that he was selling Star Trek Axanar merchandise, unlicensed Star Trek merchandise, and so they had to hit him with a copyright violation, cease and desist lawsuit, and said, you can't do this. And if he had just done another 15-minute fan film or a 30-minute fan film, it would have gone nowhere. It would have blown over, no big deal. But the fact that he was doing this, and the fact that he fleeced all of the people of the Kickstarter, took their money, built a studio, that he then had to close because he couldn't pay for it anymore, and he moved to Atlanta and did it again and kept running these crowdfunding things to get money in his pocket so he could run this Ares studio thing instead of finishing Axanar. I mean, the whole scam blew up, 3 or 4, how long ago now? 4 or 5 years ago. In the meantime, because of the lawsuit that Peters basically, facilitated and brought it on himself, he pushed it. Because of that, CBS had to establish a certain set of legal guidelines and rules for fan films so they wouldn't have to be dealing with this again.
Yeah, because
we're lucky they didn't shut them down altogether. They sit there and go, yeah, look, fans love to do this stuff. We know that fans love to do this stuff, but fans can't make any money off of doing this stuff. So we got to set some ground rules here.
Yeah, because
one of the reasons why Cawley got out. Cawley doing phase 2, he got out of the fan film thing altogether because of Axanar, and he went to Van Sitters, he went to CBS, and he said, hey, I've got the sets and they're designed exactly the way they were at Desilu. Let's talk here. And that's why his sets up in Ticonderoga are the official CBS Star Trek tour. Is because he went to CBS and he said, look, guys, we could turn this into something. Let me pay you. He's paying a licensing. This is officially licensed because he's got his Star Trek sets laid out exactly the way they were at Desilu when Star Trek was in production. So if you go to Ticonderoga, New York, and you go to the Star Trek, the official CBS Star Trek studio tour, you can walk into 1964. This is what Star Trek looked like in 1964. And he's doing it for Next Generation next door. And in the meantime, the Galileo shuttlecraft has just gotten up there. The real one, the actual real one that's been sitting down at Houston, at Johnson Space Center in Houston. Galileo is now going to the official CBS set tour in Ticonderoga. He's doing a crowdfunding campaign to get that up there.
Yeah, the site is called Trek Vault. For those of you who want to see the video, go to the site Trek Vault on YouTube, because he also talked about Federation Rising, which also was on they kickstarted on that as well. It never got off the ground.
Well, and then you had Star Trek Renegades that had to go back in and rebrand everything.
Right.
Yeah, Adrienne Wilkinson and Tim Russ were in that production. They had to go back and scrub all of the Star Trek references out of that before they could publish it.
Yeah. Before we move on,
hold on. While we're on this topic, let me ask a question of Jason then. So, Neutral Zone Studios is where they made Star Trek Continues.
Yes.
What happened to all that? Do you know?
Those sets are now in Ohio, I believe.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it, and it's in Sandusky, Ohio.
Yeah,
because you used to be able to go on tours there, like every summer. Like Vic Mignogna and members of the cast would go spend a few weeks down there giving studio tours because, like you said, it was made the exact specifications of the 1960s.
No, that one was not.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Well,
before we go any further, hold on one second. Before we go any further, we got breaking news right now.
No, I think you should. I think you should finish the discussion before.
Breaking okay, news. Go ahead. Finish the discussion. We got breaking news.
So yes, the studio down in Alpharetta, Georgia, was laid out. You still have screen accurate designs as far as they goes.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the Phase 2 studios in Ticonderoga, the actual layout of all of the sets. If you look at the floor plan at Desilu, the bridge sets here.
So it's actually
this thing. It's actually exactly how they had it at Desilu Studios.
So it's not.
If you walk into Trek, you walk into the Trek Studio Tour, you're walking into Desilu Studios 1964. This is what it looked like when they were shooting the actual show.
So it's not just the sets, but it's the actual studio they rebuilt up there in New York.
Rebuilt all of the sets.
Plus
they rebuilt all of the standing. Well, not the. I mean, it's in whatever building it's in. It's not the Desilu Studio, but everything is laid out the way it was at the Desilu Studios in 1964. Alpharetta, the continuous sets were not laid out that same way. You might have the same designs for the bridge, And
I
I've
think
been
that
on
makes
that bridge.
sense.
That bridge spent time. I've actually been on that bridge when it was in Oklahoma City,
Oh, that's
and they
cool.
moved it. Those designs are really good.
Yeah.
But Cauley has been anal retentive in and in a good way, making his sets exactly to the specifications of. I mean, he's got the blueprints. He's got costumes. He's got fabric swatches from Bill Tice, because he actually knew Bill Tice, who was the costume designer of the original series. So
that's
he's got
cool.
fabric swatches. This is the actual fabric we used for the uniforms type of thing, right? And so
That's
he's trying to
insane.
put out all of this stuff exactly the way it was. And he's starting to do that for the next generation too. He's building an Enterprise D bridge up there.
I mean,
It's-
Roddenberry's son even considered Star Trek Continues as canon.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but it's not.
It's
But
not.
it's like when Dave Blass and Liz Koslowski went and when they rebuilt the Enterprise D bridge for Picard season 3. That attention to detail that Liz brought to that project and Dave brought to that, I've interviewed them about that. How much work went into finding the carpet, because they don't make that carpet anymore. It's like, I mean, it was a nationwide search for that carpet. It was an obsessive thing to get it so exactly right, from the angle the angle of the horseshoe, everything. Cauley has done that with the original series sets up in Ticonderoga. So if you wanted to shoot Star Trek, the original series, all over again, you could do it up there, because everything's there. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You got breaking news.
We got breaking news. Let me just hit the switch. Okay, Sam, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are I'm a bit of a fan of the Beastie Boys. And it just came out that they're releasing a new 5-part anthology. If you didn't know that, but yeah, parts A to D are free, but you got to fight for your right to part E.
Well, there actually is. I don't know, Al, if you saw, actually is some breaking news that came over on TMZ just a little while ago. Martin Short's daughter has taken her own life.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that broke just a little while ago.
First Robert, and now, oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow. Way to step on my joke.
Sorry. I thought you actually had something there. I mean, it's just breaking news. Okay, well, we're doing breaking news.
No, this is
I got that from Dean, and just you should know Untold Destiny. They're starting up pretty soon. They're doing more on their discussion of their game. Go there, check it out.
Yeah, and there's another thing. A Hollywood Reporter is reporting Sony to reboot Spider-Man universe with new people after several box office flops. I'll send you the article.
Why would they do that? They're
working on.
They haven't had any box office flops for Spider-Man. What are you talking about?
That's what Hollywood Reporter is reporting.
I mean, the other stuff,
the Spider-Man,
the other movies, maybe, yeah, but Spider-Man itself.
Spider-Man 4 with Holland, or is it 4, whatever it is it's coming out this summer, I think.
What's this one going to be called?
Yeah, it's already been out there. Its name escapes me.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on. They're trying to, clean up their supposedly clean up their act on the situation, but they're not doing anybody any favor at this point.
Brand New Day, Spider-Man.
Okay.
And yeah, they picked the worst book you can get. Brand New Day to do.
Well, I don't know how close they're following it.
They can't go that close to it.
It might be.
But the other thing too is if they're rebooting the Spider-Man universe around Sony, more than likely what they make, because you've got Spider Noir coming out with Nicolas Cage. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, I like when Marvel does like I loved Werewolf by Night, that little special they did on
Yeah.
Disney Plus. I thought that was really well. I thought like the idea to do that in black and white, and I loved how at the end she's sitting and it just slowly fades into color and then into black. I thought that was really a really good classically like monster version. I think it did. What was it? Eliza Bloodstone? Was that the character's name?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, she's a monster hunter in DC. So Marvel. God. And
We also got another death notice. John Wheeler, who played a Tellarite on Star Trek, Ambassador Gav,
Yep.
has also passed away at age 95.
Yep.
but I'm looking forward to Spider-Man Noir. I was gonna do a trailer review, but then I got sick this past weekend.
Well, they're planning also to release One Piece season 2, the first 2 episodes in 200 theaters in U.S., Canada, Japan, starting March 10th.
I like the actress who they got to play Robin. I think that was a good choice.
Oh, Nico Robin. Oh, she's perfect.
Yeah.
She is literally they just really went with that, and I think she's going to be a great add-on. And of course, they have the little reindeer guy,
Tony
he looks cute
Chapa.
on there.
It's gonna be. I'm really, and if I'm not mistaken, Jamie Lee Curtis is supposed to have a role in this season.
No,
In One Piece?
she's not. She's going to be played by Married with Children's
Katie Seagal.
Katie Seagal.
Really? God damn. I like
the pictures
Katie
already.
Seagal.
The pictures are already out of her in the costume.
I liked Katie Seagal, but I was looking forward to Jamie Lee Curtis in that role.
Yeah, it looks like they went with Katie on that one because she's not in the trailer, but there's like some photos that released from the set. So they're basically showing her in the costume itself.
You got really muffled there, Al.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on one second.
Wow, she actually looks exactly like the character.
Oh, you see it now?
Yeah, I just found it on Google. That is really good. Dr. I can never say her name.
I mean, there's a couple of things that it's like they did that was like race swap characters on One Piece. And I'm not too up on it to that point. They've done a very good job of handling the storyline, the story arc itself.
Yeah, some of the characters in Baroque works are changed.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
I mean, it looked. Season 2 looks good. Season 1 was good.
I enjoyed
it. I enjoyed it too. Surprising. I was like, oh god, they're doing One Piece. They're gonna ruin this. And I watched a couple episodes because they did Cowboy Bebop and they just butchered Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that was. But the guy who they got to play Garp is amazing in that role. I love the guy who they got to play Garp.
I'm just going to be wondering how they're going to handle Solo Leveling because it's Netflix also. One of the best animes out right now. I'm surprised no one has decided to go hey, let's do a live action version of Free Ren, which everybody's talking about right now on that.
Give them time; they'll fuck something up.
Oh yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say before we scoot off here, don't scoot off because you guys are going to get redirected to Sci-Fi for Me TV. You're coming on about 6:30, right, Jason?
6:30 Eastern, yeah.
6:30 Eastern. This channel will redirect you to Sci-Fi for Me TV's channel.
Have I got you set up to do that? I think I do.
I have it set up for you to transfer over.
I was thinking that I think I have to have you. Where is that? Where
when you go into the main page when you're doing the live stream, you scan down a little bit and you'll see redirect.
Yeah, but where you're redirecting to has to give you permission for that. I thought.
No, it's linked you to the page already.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You know, to the actual your actual live stream.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I never heard they had a permission before. I've done it for Snob's channel. I've done it for Tennessee Tabletop as well. So
I've been
It's full
talking
permission.
so
We
damn
do what we
time.
want.
I've had friends who just do it to random channels that they like. So it's
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we will be on 6:30 Eastern. We're gonna look at the Warner Brothers Paramount Netflix love triangle. And I have a theory. Some people are sitting there going, "How could Starfleet Academy get a second season?" But then why would they spend money on a series finale and the whatnot? I've got thoughts on that. So we're gonna start with that.
okay. Outpost, what you got anything coming up? I know you've been sick and you pushed it through today's episode, and I'm proud of you on that.
I've been muting a lot because I've been coughing. Right now, I'm just focused on getting over this, but I'm gonna try maybe Thursday or Friday to get some trailer reviews out. So keep an eye out for those.
Mm-hmm. All righty. And of course, this Wednesday, it's a big episode. What do we got, Sci-Fi Snob?
Nothing. Oh wait, no. We have episode 10 from season 3 of Babylon 5, Severed Dreams, the best rated, and some consider it the best episode of all of Babylon 5. Yeah, Severed Dreams. So it's the big, we're getting into the big, we've been building up. This is
of
really
computer CGI in this one.
Yeah, there's some big battle scenes, ships blowing each other up and shooting and stuff like that. So that means I get to talk
this one
less.
or next week.
Let me just check.
No, it should be Dean again.
No, Dean got this one.
Dean got the
and then I'm next week.
You're next week. Yeah. Dean will be our guest.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Panelist tomorrow, and Outpost Nerd will be next week. Yeah. No, this is widely agreed. Oh, you're caught up? Okay, good. This is widely considered, the best episode of the season. And I mean, this season 3, very good. We've been building up to a couple. We're going to get, some stuff.
Yeah, it is really. I've already watched it 2 more times because it's so good. For those of you who are wondering where you could watch this for free, you could go to the Roku app. The Roku app. You can find it on there. It's still free there.
We should talk about the YouTube thing. There's been some taking it off and on.
Well, it's Warner. Warner did it because it's a clip channel for Warner because there's all Warner product all over it. And for some reason
that it might not have been authorized, that someone made a mistake and put it on there or something.
Well, the movie's there. The pilot movie is there still.
Yeah.
It's still available. The episodes
I found on the archive.org they have every single Babylon 5 movie that you can
really
on.
Oh, the movies. The movies. Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever gonna talk about the movies, but
we plan on talking about the movies at the appropriate time.
It's not gonna be for a while. I figured that.
I think the first one will be sometime halfway through season 4, is what I'm told. I don't know because I haven't.
No, toward the end. Movies. Toward the end, that'll be in the beginning. That'll be in the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know because I haven't seen them, so I can't really tell from personal experience. But sometime in season 4, I think one of the first movies comes, and we've been talking about it. The plan is to maybe take a week break and we'll talk about the movies that next week, sort of thing. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because the rest don't come in until after season 5.
Yeah,
because that's when the series get a bit of a changeover on season 5, and then of course the road home. That one we got to do. That's the last one of the entire series that we have to watch. I just got it on 4K, so I just bought it. It's like $15 on Amazon right now. You can get it on there. They give you the 4K version and the Blu-ray. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good on there. I enjoyed it on there. It's too bad some of the voice actors didn't. Is Zathras, the actor that played Zathras, is he still alive?
I don't know.
Who?
The one that played Zathras.
I don't
Because
know.
in the Road Home, he wasn't played. It wasn't played by the original actor. I have to look that up.
I'm looking it up.
I'll go right ahead on there.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So next week, we got.
He passed away in 04.
He passed away in 04? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That explains that. Next week, we got another episode. Tilly is going to be joining over at the Academy next
Oh, my favorite
week
Tilly.
on there. We'll see what adventures that she's going to bring across.
Power of
And
math,
supposedly
people.
This one is, I think,
Looks like
directed
she
by
lost some
Jonathan
weight,
Frank.
maybe.
Jonathan Franks will be directing this one on this episode next week. Which who knows? I mean, so far what it looks like. I mean, they haven't dropped the trailer yet. So surprisingly, they haven't. The trailer hasn't hit Twitter yet. Normally by now it's already playing on Twitter.
Yeah, it's already Tuesday. It's it's basically
generally that's when
tomorrow.
they drop it. They drop it on Tuesdays.
Tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow at midnight when people will start watching.
Yeah, exactly on there.
So they got a little more than 24 hours. That's interesting. I'm really curious actually to see what Frakes does with this because he's a pretty good he's a reasonably good Star Trek director, but is he going to be able to overcome the poor writing that we've consistently seen on this show?
No.
I mean, I don't see how he can, but
it's do the best with what we have at this point, I think. And honestly, Frakes, I think Frakes is past the point where he cares about the integrity of it. He's just like,
so.
Let's just have fun. Who cares?
Maybe.
We're just it's Andy Hardy in a barn for him, I think.
There's
something to go back. I guess sometimes directors have some freedom, but that's usually more on movies as opposed to TV shows. So he might be forced to just do whatever, but surely he would think, hey, this is not a good idea. Maybe we should change this. Maybe not.
Well, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late to fix anything. His episode might be the better one out of all of them, just because he can handle the material a little bit better. But from the standpoint of what's in it, from the characters, he's just got to work with what he's got.
Yeah. Well, considering 2 weeks in a row, it hasn't even charted on Nielsen's.
I mean, one episode out of 10, 7 or 10 isn't going to save this franchise. I can't see how it possibly.
Oh well,
would.
Academy's already been canceled.
Yeah.
We haven't even gone. We just the two seasons that was the original part of the order, and that's it. There is no beyond that. Paramount Skydance brought Alex in and said, "You're going to shoot a series finale, not a season finale, and you're done." And they pulled the contract off the table, and that's why they went over schedule. Because they were all supposed to be done shooting everything by December, and they've gone over. They just wrapped season 2 because they're shooting the new ending to close everything out.
Yeah, Trek. What is it?
Trek movie.
Yeah. Trek movie. I think it is. They just. Trek movie just dropped an article.
Yeah.
On they say goodbye, their goodbyes and all that. And there's like 1 or 2 pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
Does anyone know when season 2 is supposed to drop? Have they?
Okay, so Agent Ash sent me a message today asking me if I'd heard about that because he's got somebody who knows somebody, and it's not a reliable secondhand source at this point, was hearing that season 2 of Academy might drop later this year. Like maybe about the fall
So
2026.
Crap.
Well, they got to burn it out. They got to get it done because Kurtzman's contract is over in August.
I'm still thinking that they might. I mean, they might.
And they still got to drop Strange New Worlds. 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds this year.
I'm still thinking they might kill season 2 of this show.
Well, I have a thought about that, and you'll have to watch the
I
show.
just,
You'll have
yeah,
to
I
watch
just
the
don't.
show.
I think they're just damaging the brand further, and at some point, someone will go, "Hey, this is not helping us. This is just
Well,
making it harder." But
in the grand scheme of things, you're probably right, but I think I have an idea of a reason why they would do what they're doing.
yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious I'm asking why when it is because I'm curious to see if they even will
I'm
drop it.
Well, Ash is asking me. He's like, "Have you heard anything about this?" Because he's somebody who knows somebody. He's like, I was talking to somebody, and they know somebody at CBS who says that it's going to drop later in the year, and it's not our usual path for information. So neither one of us is there deciding how reliable it is yet because we don't know. Because it's not the normal place where he gets his information. So
Yeah, my CBS people, they're like the people that normally get the info war. Sometimes I get like a little bit on there. They're staying quiet about this situation.
yeah.
You know, they're staying really
All my people are
quiet.
quiet
Normally,
too.
and, you know, and normally a lot of the stuff feeds out of the New York branch because most of the people that I know are working in the New York branch and working in the LA, and then normally you can get something out of them every once in a while. Now it's like no, we can't talk about it because nobody's talking about it.
Yeah,
at this point.
I think right now it's controlled leakage more than anything else, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You know,
I think the only people watching this show are YouTubers who are going to crapping on it. That's
well,
the
if it's not charting, if it's not charting on Nielsen's,
and it's not,
it means I could imagine what the numbers are. If it's not charting on Nielsen's.
Well, and that's less than 2 million people watching.
I mean,
that's CW numbers.
Yeah.
If you know anything about the show at all, and you're interested but don't really want to watch it, I mean, you're going to get more entertainment from some of the bigger YouTubers who are crapping on it in a humorous way. It's going to be better than the show. So
yeah, I mean,
go ahead. I think that's what people are watching.
I think the other thing too is you have these shows, and not just Kurtzman Trek, but all of them. They're made for an audience that doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And the people that are making it want that audience to exist because they align ideologically with them. Like, these are my people. I'm going to make this show for my people because they're like me. Only that audience is there. That audience is not going to show up. And they have yet to realize that they're making a show for an empty room. Maybe that changes here in the next few months. Who knows? Because if Doctor Who gets a deal with HBO, what does that look like? Does that, yeah, and if Paramount ends up owning Warner Brothers, that also includes HBO, which means if they have a deal with Doctor Who, I mean, there's all sorts of things. Like, what chaos could ensue this week? Yeah, that whole Warner Brothers thing with Netflix and Paramount continues to shift, and gets crazier all the time. But you have a new showrunner coming in to Doctor Who after the Christmas special. They haven't announced any plans. They haven't announced any casting. Nothing. There's an article in I think it was Hollywood Reporter from somebody talking about what happens. Oh, his deadline. What happens next for Doctor Who? Nobody's talking about anything. They haven't even started. According to this article, they haven't even started discussions for co-productions like the deal they did with Disney Plus. They want to do that kind of thing again, and HBO might be a place where they talk about that. That HBO might be interested because they've done co-productions with BBC on other shows. So Doctor Who might be on the table for that, in which case you'd have Doctor Who on HBO Max. But nobody is talking about anything yet. And if this Kevin McTighe guy who ran War Between the Land and the Sea ends up being the next showrunner, what does that do? What does that show look like? What kind of producer is he? What kind of stories does he want to tell? So everything is shifting right now. Nobody knows what anything's about.
Yeah, but also the Variety, Hollywood Reporter, a couple of them have already released that now Ofcom is going after Netflix, Prime, HBO Max to regulate them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the American companies, and the UK is expected to regulate this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, some of that's not going to stand.
It
Yeah,
shouldn't. I mean, the Supreme Court needs to jump in on this.
Well, the Supreme Court doesn't have any jurisdiction in the UK.
No, but they have jurisdiction in the United States.
Yeah,
you know,
but the HBO being in the United States, whatever deal they have is probably with Sky TV or some other second third party streamer service over there. But HBO Max is about to launch in some new markets, so there's still going to be local companies because the business entity will probably be local to the market wherever it is that they're about to launch, UK, Scotland, wherever. So those would fall under the jurisdiction of Ofcom or whatever other country, is putting out regulations and stuff like this. It's a fine line they're going to have to tread, because who's going to push back, especially in the UK.
And the thing is, Az put out a video today that they're coming after him for a TV license for YouTube.
That surprised me.
To that point.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. YouTube is nothing to do with, with the UK. If they want to try to charge them a TV license to watch YouTube in Great Britain. I mean, that's.
Well, okay, so PB's asking a question. HBO's international deal with BBC. I didn't know that they had that already. What I'm talking about is a co-production deal, where basically HBO would put money into actually making the show, not just distributing the show, but co-producing the show the way Disney Plus did for the 2 seasons with Shooty. Right now, that's a possible. Maybe. We'll see.
Well, okay, I got to thank everybody that showed up. Thank you, all of you. Thank for those in the chat. We got to get going. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, stay where you are. You're going over to Sci-Fi for Me, even though it's at 6:30. You're going to get jumped over to Jason's channel. He's got some great articles for today to talk about. A lot to talk about. Like he said. Do check his channel out, and be sure to check out everybody else here on there. Sci-Fi Snob on Wednesday, Outpost Nerd. He's got stuff coming up. Get better, Outpost Nerd.
Gonna try.
Also, I'm going to turn around here, and hopefully we'll be able to dig ourselves out of New York here, because Staten Island is completely buried under 30 inches of snow. We got hit the worst, and of course, we got screwed down there. So hopefully our buses will be starting to fully run again here, and everybody will get around. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next Tuesday here, live, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on QTCast TV. Be sure to check out our videos tomorrow and Thursday. We got another segment with Peter Jurczyk. Another segment we're throwing up there. And there is an update to the Tubi TV cartoon Insanity that's coming, and I forgot what the other one was on there. There's another good story as well coming to the yes. Netflix is dropping the PS3 off of there. You won't be able to use Netflix on PS3s and older televisions from a certain point, so do catch that video. I go in detail on that. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you.
Good night.
Good night.